Hey there, everybody in America and Canada. This is Dan with Blue Collar Talent Scouts. I'm joined by my partner.
I'm Wood Boyles. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for dropping in.
Absolutely. Now, Wood, before we continue, I'd like to take a short break to hear a word from our sponsor, if that's okay.
Sure.
We are brought to you by Blue Collar Talent Scouts. Blue Collar Talent Scouts, recruiting and sourcing firm for contractors in the U.S. and Canada. Wow, that was an absolutely fantastic spot by our sponsor. Thank you very much for the pause there, Wood.
You've been
hey,
a
listen,
little too much solo at home, huh?
is that what it is? Well,
So.
I've definitely gotten quite a bit of sun on my face. I've paid more attention to my yard than I think I ever have. So that's one thing. Well, folks, obviously we're still, going through the COVID-19 scenario, not just, here in Texas, which is where we're based out of, but nationally and, obviously globally as well. And depending on which media outlet you're looking at, some folks are saying that it's getting closer. Other folks are still undecided. But the reality is simple. A lot of things have changed, but a lot of things are still the same. And one of the topics that we really want to talk about today for our contractors, customers we're currently working with, customers we're talking with, or just contractors that may happen to see this video who have a handle on recruiting and sourcing on their own, is really how to deal with candidates, what to look for with candidates, and really how to approach a candidate now more than ever. And it's really kind of sad to say that there's a massive number of folks that have unfortunately lost their job or have been furloughed for one reason or another. And we happen to work in this space in the blue collar world where over the last 20 years, it's been harder and harder and harder to find a qualified tradesperson, whether it's on the service side, the install side, the construction side, even the sales side, because a lot of folks had stopped picking the blue collar trades as a career path. Now more than ever, it's going to be even tougher because they're still not making blue collar folks on trades, right? Now you've got a massive amount of folks who are just scrambling to find to find a job. Exactly. So the chatter that you're going to hear nowadays, if you post an ad online, whether it's Craigslist, a Facebook post, Monster, Indeed, or you go to a newspaper ad or whatever the case may be, don't be shocked if you receive 10 to 20 times the amount of response, which means 10 to 20 times the amount of work on top of what you would have normally seen 30 days ago. And so what I really wanted to head on today is what to expect as a contractor when you are talking to a candidate or when you're looking at resumes. Now, when we're looking for a qualified tradesperson, whether it's in the electrical trade, plumbing trade, HVAC trade, or any one of the numerous blue-collar fields out there, you're really looking for a competent, qualified, most likely certified or licensed trade person who can do certain things. We're not necessarily looking for someone who's an amazing resume writer. And I know through my career, not just when I was in the field as a service manager, but through my career of last 15 plus years working with contractors, especially in the employment side of things, I talked to a lot of contractors who will dismiss somebody if their resume doesn't look the way they think it should. The reality is you really can't do that. I'm going to use a generic name, Bob. If Bob is a qualified plumber or a qualified pipe fitter, electrician, HVAC tech, whatever the case may be, if they're absolutely stellar at what they do, but their only sin is that they're not a great resume writer, you don't want to miss that opportunity. So my experience when I look at resumes, no matter where I get them from, I'm looking for a name, some type of contact data, preferably a phone number and an email if possible. Maybe a couple of high points, and then that's about it. Then I'm going to have a conversation. Conversations will erase more doubt than just reading a resume would.
Well, and Dan, just to kind of add to that, that's an anathema when you think about the way most people train managers to look at resumes. HR people talk about the fact that, hey, look for misspellings, look for incomplete resumes and so forth. It really doesn't apply when you start talking about skilled tradespeople. You have to be able to read between the lines and look for those hints and then go after those. And so that's actually a good reason to distinguish ourselves from some of the people who are jumping into blue collar recruiting because, hey, look, high tech recruiting is not as big right now, or this is not going on as much, and so forth. We understand that. We know how to do some of that pre-screening where you'll never have to deal with that person. And it's the type of thing that really stands out. Most people, they'll look at a resume and they may pass on a good guy because, hey, there's 4 words misspelled. It may even look like his name is misspelled, or you know what, she didn't spell the title of her job correctly. But you know what?
Right.
Technicians in a lot of cases are just not the type of people who are going to spend that time on a polished resume because they've never had to. And honestly, as we're looking at it now, they still don't have to.
Oh, absolutely. Now more than ever, for sure. We're in the midst of summer. We're right on the cusp of summer. So whether we like it or not, those calls, if they haven't already started coming in on the HVAC side, they're definitely going to start coming in, especially with folks being at home, whether it's commercial or residential. So contractors, if they're not hiring right now, they probably have their ear to the ground. And if they have their ear to the ground, as soon as those calls get to the point to where their current staff can't keep up with them, they're going to have to they're going to have to start bringing new folks on board. And so, yeah, you're exactly right. It's going to be important that you think. Oh, sorry, my dog came in. Yeah, it's very important that you think that you think about a resume the proper way. In my opinion, the way when I look at a resume, I look at a resume just for a couple of high points as stated before. Contact info, a couple of keywords that are relevant to what I'm looking for, and then at that point, I essentially just reach out and have that conversation. And Wood, to your point, great thing about blue collar talent scouts, we are phenomenal recruiters in the blue collar space. We're also an amazing resource. And yeah, I'm talking ourselves up because that's what we've heard from our customers. We have some customer testimonials that are already out there now. We have a couple of other testimonials that are coming forth here pretty quick. Hopefully a few videos that'll be coming out. But we're also a consulting firm. You know, part of the consulting, and Wood's really awesome at this, is working with whatever HR team, hiring team, recruiting team may currently be on staff to really help, point out these critical areas, and again, don't discount a qualified candidate because a resume has misspellings or omitted punctuation.
There's a couple of things that you really need to think about. Hey, this is a strategic time. If you're in the trades and you're looking for people, you have the opportunity to hire people and keep them long term. I get it. Hey, look, HVAC is seasonal, but some of the other trades aren't. And even with the seasonal ones, I've not seen a top quality technician or installer cut loose at the end of a season. And so you want to find those people that are at the top of their game so your company can be at the top of their game as well. And so that means it's not just how do you find those people, it's how do you bring them on board, because if you don't do a good job with that, and how do you get them to the point they feel rapport, they feel a part of the team over that first 3 months or so. And so those types of factors are key for you to be able to retain the good guys, because otherwise there'll be another job out there that offers or promises more money, more hours, better schedules, no weekends, no nights on call, and that type of thing. You've got to be the employer that they want to be a part of, because they've got some loyalty to you and to your company. So
that's exactly right. And one more thing that I wanted to add for contractors to really keep in mind, especially during this time, if you get a resume of a qualified tradesperson, if they don't answer on the first call, one of a couple of things are going on. Either A, they're good at what they do and they're still working, which we all know that's most likely the case, even in this environment. And if that's the case, they're probably not going to answer on the first call. They may not answer on the third call or fourth call. I have worked with a lot of contractors, and I've actually worked for a few contractors in the past who have the mentality of a one call. If they don't respond back right away, then I'm going to write them off. 20, 25, 30 years ago, sure, that made sense because there were way more folks to go around than there were open spots. You can't do that anymore. You quite literally have to approach a solid trades person, no different. If I were a salesperson that worked for any contractor that happens to be hearing this message, if I were out there aggressively selling a product or a service, the goal would be for me to be super aggressive, call until I get a yes or no. You have to be as aggressive, if not more aggressive today with tradespeople as you would want your salesperson to be with closing new business. You just have to. Why aren't they answering on the first call? Well, if they're currently employed and you're calling them during the day, Monday through Friday, they're probably in their vehicle working.
Or Saturdays.
Maybe they're on call. Or Saturdays.
Yeah.
Maybe they're on call. Maybe they're juggling a lot of things because, especially in the environment we're in right now, if it's a two-income family and then their spouse is unfortunately on furlough, and if they have a family, well, then they have to juggle a lot of responsibilities as well. You have to go above and beyond right now when it comes to reaching out and communicating with these folks for sure. Set up time frames for Saturdays and Sundays. Guys, listen, we're going to have to be a lot more aggressive and a lot more strategic when it comes to how we open these lines of communication for college qualified trades folks, because the work's there. If you're paused right now, it's only going to be for a short time. There is an end to this period. We all know this. We all know there's an end to this. So now is the time more than ever to start thinking about your strategy. And obviously, Blue Collar Talent Scouts is here to help out for sure. One thing about Blue Collar Talent Scouts that we will not do, we will not blow smoke. We will be brutally honest with you. There are quite a few scenarios that we've actually turned down in the past because it didn't make sense for us, or the contractor who's inquiring about our service. So I wanted to throw that out there as well. Would you have any additional thoughts?
Well, I think there's one other factor I want to talk about timing-wise, and that's this. I used to use this example when I was working for a national company. Suppose you're in the AC business and you have a customer call in. It's a residential service that you do. Customer calls in. It's midsummer. It's 110 degrees. It's hot, and they say, "Hey, my AC's blowing hot air." You're not going to leave that call or schedule a call for that one the next day or the day after. You're going to get on that call right away, because that call is pretty well a sure thing in terms of being able to take care of the customer and be a hero to them if you're there first and you do the best. But if they're without cool in the summertime, they're not just going to call you, especially if you don't respond right away. They're going to call a half dozen companies, and the old axiom is first company there wins. Okay, sometimes it's then, okay, price wins and so forth, but you've got the best opportunity if you respond quickly. The same is true when you start talking about recruiting technicians, because here's the bottom line. If they apply to you, they're probably applying to 3 or 4 other employers, because there's always a half dozen or so in any market that have a great reputation. You know what?
That's it.
If you get that application, you're on the clock. Best case is if it's an applicant before noon, you're talking to them, reaching out to them by the end of the day. Even if you're just leaving a voicemail, you're still telling them, I want to talk to you. If they apply at night, and a lot of guys will, they'll go online, they'll look for jobs, they'll respond to postings after 8 or 9 at night. You know what? 7 a.m. the next morning is your start time, and guess what? You need to be making those phone calls then, because those guys will respect the fact that you understand their work, that you're after them, and that you appreciate the opportunity they afford you. The right guy can make or break your company, and you want those right guys. So you've got to have those conversations.
Yeah.
It's got to be quick.
What I'm glad you brought that up, and I brought this up a few times, and I'll probably never stop bringing it up, no matter how many calls I have, or how many videos we do, or how many webinars that we host. One qualified tradesperson that works for you for 12 months or even 90 days or 6 months is more valuable to you than one new customer in most circumstances, and we all know how aggressive we can be as business owners going after a revenue generating customer. But you really have to take a step back, look at the situation for what it is. If you have an empty vehicle or an empty spot, especially if that's a revenue generating spot, there's an amount of money that's being lost every second of every day that vehicle sits empty in the parking lot. So there are things that you can do to help increase the odds of success to get that vehicle on the road. And of course, we're giving you some free tips, and we're more than happy. If you want to give us a shout or shoot us an email, or go to our website, www.bluecollartalentscouts.com. Conversations are free. We'll have those conversations all day, every day, without ever asking for a dime, for sure. You just have to really think about those things, especially in the climate that we have right now.
Hey Dan, can I let me plant a couple of seeds. These are for possible future topics we'll talk about on these types of conversations. But also, you need to start thinking about. Listen, everyone's out of school right now. They're homeschooling. It's not out of school, but they're working from home. They're doing remote education. But we, for the last year, have really spent a good bit of time focused on, promoting the trades within the local high schools and tech high schools and so forth, and trade schools.
That's right.
There are some things that you could be doing in your market, in your community, that will help you be able to promote the trades. We can help you with that. Also, there are some of you who are like, hey, look, I don't have a real standard approach to an interview. I just sit down, I talk to a guy. One of the things that we've done with a number of organizations, I've done it for the last 18, 23 years actually, is I've helped managers put together a systematic approach to their interviews so they don't have that moment after the interview, after the person's left the building, and say, oh, I forgot to ask about this. So we can help you with that as well. Just a couple of thoughts. Look, they're not top of mind right now, but don't lose sight of those things, because long term, you're going to want to be working on some of those. And if right now you're slow, maybe it's not a bad time to start thinking about, all right, what am I going to do that type of promotion of the trades? What am I going to do to be a little bit more effective in my interview processes?
Bingo. Absolutely. The best time to do is whenever you're fully staffed, so that you can be proactive and worst case scenario, pluck out your weakest links and put stronger players in there, or practice your technique and perfect your performance.
Exactly.
Well, guys, listen, as always, thank you so much for tuning into our podcast or video chats. I don't know what the kids are calling these things. We're on video. Thanks for watching us. We try to make it as lighthearted as possible, but also give you some valuable info. Again, feel free to reach us, www.bluecollartalentscouts.com. We have a LinkedIn page, Facebook page, Twitter page, Instagram page. We've got all kinds of really good content out there. On our website, we have some really neat cost calculators that are there. So it's some really good information that you can check out as well. So we definitely hope you guys have a great day, and thanks for tuning in.
We appreciate you guys. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.